Well, my people, coming at you with something super special. So, as you guys know, I go out and I try to bring in the best of the best people in their specific field to come in to either answer questions or do a masterclass. And this person that you obviously clicked on the video for is a very well known person in the space. I would argue he is one of the few people who pioneered the space. He's probably considered one of the goats in the space. And I reached out to him not thinking that I was actually going to get a response because he has an extreme following. But lo and behold, he did respond and he did want to come in. So you guys are in for a very special treat. Hopefully you take as much out of it as humanly possible. And without further ado, let's hop into it.
We can let
Let's go. Let him in. Let him in. Let in the studs. Let in the studs. What up, you
I feel like
beautiful
I feel like
people?
you're the hype man here, dude.
Oh,
You're the
man.
hype man for
yeah.
this, Kenneth. Kenneth's always the hype man, dude.
Ah,
You always gotta have a hype man.
gotta have the hype man. You know what I'm saying? What up, you beautiful people? Let's let everyone straggle in. Let me drop the link. Oh, you already dropped it, Serge.
Yeah, I dropped it a few places.
Cool. Drop that. As always, for those of y'all who showed up to the last few ones, and Matt Shields, Bill Walsh, Aaron, etc., show up for yourselves like you would want your clients to show up for you. Turn your camera on. Just give the man some respect since he's taking some time out of his day, to be here with us today. So do that. Next thing, go on your socials, post us on your Instagram. We will go out. We will repost you. Let's get this out to the world. And then I'll drop all of Ravi's socials down below. If you have not heard of Ravi, I imagine he has an introduction, but I'll give you access to all his stuff so you can go follow him. Serge, anything you want to start off with?
Yeah, guys, if you don't have a camera, I think we got a lot of work to do before we start starting a business. Maybe we're gonna acquire a webcam before it's like we gotta work on that budgeting. But no, so today I'm personally excited to have Ravi on. I was actually watching your latest podcast with Ryan Pineda, and you guys talked about some sauce. That was pretty cool. It was a great podcast. One of the things that I want to share today, maybe before we get started, is I rarely, I would say that I spend less money on paying people programs and services, and most of my learnings happen when I'm just listening to a podcast, right? But I don't have to pay someone to learn from them. So a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about today, even if you're not paying, even if you're paying, maybe you watch it on YouTube, just because it's free does not mean that it's not like valuable things to take to execute on. Okay. So value free things as much as it is paid things. And of course, pay if you want to get accountability. We always love that accountability service. But that's just one. I wanted to kind of like start this with that. It's so important to actually write things down and get on executing. But maybe Ravi, kind of like introduce yourself for, because even though you kind of like have a brand and people following you, I don't think that everyone here knows. Who here doesn't know Ravi in the chat?
It's an awkward question. It's just like, yeah, I don't know who the hell this dude is.
Just before, because we
That
got
just showed up for.
just so
I
everyone
don't
here
know why
knows.
I'm here.
If everyone knows, then perfect, you're doing good. But I'd love to figure out. Okay, cool. Well, I guess everyone knows you don't. Okay, David
Oh, I
doesn't.
know. Yeah, George raised his hand, so George don't.
I don't.
Dave,
Woodard. Okay,
I know Nizar
cool.
did. There's a few people.
All right, cool. So Ravi, just introduce yourself, and I'd love to kind of like maybe if you can give kind of like a background story around you and how you got started and what you've been able to accomplish in the last few years.
Yeah, of course. So first of all, thanks for having me on, everybody. I appreciate your time, very much so. My goal is you guys leave here with some actionable advice, and you feel like it wasn't wasted time inside of here. Big shout out to you guys for hosting me as well. It means a lot to me. I've actually watched Serge your stuff on YouTube before as well, so I've gotten value out of that. So it was awesome when you guys reached out and invited me to come on here. A little bit of background on me. So I've been in the online business world for about 4.5 years now, almost 5 years, which makes me pretty much a grandpa. I was going to law school. That was the plan my whole life. Went to Florida State. Then about a few days after I graduated from college, dad was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. I'm grateful he's in remission now, but I had to go up there and spend pretty much 14 months with him, 5 days a week, chemo and radiation at the hospital. Then I would spend the nighttime studying for law school. It was during that time, though, I always say him getting cancer was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it was during that time that it literally caused me to pump the brakes and figure out, like, okay, maybe I don't want to go to law school and I'm just doing this because everybody else tells me that I should be doing something. So I actually read a great book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and by Mark Manson. And I just realized that, wow, I was caring so much about what other people thought about what my future should be. And I never even actually put some thought into what I wanted my future to be. I ended up taking the LSAT because the law school admission test, because I'd spent literally pretty much my entire life preparing for it. Got into my dream schools. I scored in the top 10% of test takers in the nation, but then decided not to go to law school, shocked my whole family, got a job at an Italian restaurant, making about $2,000 a month. And I bought Tai Lopez's SMMA course online for $2,000. It was all the money that I had on a credit card. And, your typical guru rags to riches story. And then first 9 months, I did about $3,000 in sales. And then I figured out like systems and acquisition and lead generation, virtual assistants and delegation. And I figured out how to create a unique mechanism in my offer. We went from just providing leads to a call center that calls and qualifies the leads. So once I started like figuring all this stuff out, I read the 4 Hour Work Week. Within 90 days, we're doing $100,000 a month. I scaled the advertising agency to about $300,000, $280,000 to $300,000 a month. But absolutely hated my life. I didn't know how to do operations or systems or back end or any of that stuff. And I didn't even know anything about selling a business. And at the time, one of my friends who had bought the course with me at the same time, he was like, hey, man, we both bought this Tai Lopez's course, but like I'm doing $3,000 a month and you're doing $300,000 a month. Like what? And I was like, oh, well, it was like these VAs and these systems. And it's like, oh, will you show me? And I was like, yeah, sure. Just pay me, I don't know, $5,000 and I'll show you what I did. And he was like, okay, cool. And he just PayPal'd me right then and there. And it's funny because at that time, like I said, I was doing about $300,000 a month in the agency, but I was fighting tooth and nail to convince these real estate agents to pay me $2,500, which 1,000 would go to ad spend, 500 would go to the call center, 300 would go to the media buyer, 250 would go to the salesperson. And so here it was, this person just paid me $5,000 for 2 hours of my time. I showed him what I was doing. And then he hit his first 10K a month, 14 days after that. And that was it. I knew what I was supposed to do. I knew it was going to be like helping and scaling businesses that wasn't necessarily working with real estate agents. I didn't know how to exit companies. So I just literally stopped running ads for the real estate agency. I stopped renewing people. I stopped showing up on calls, and I just let that kind of fade into the distance. I launched Scaling with Systems. And that, like I said, was about 3.5 years ago. I launched it. And we've done right around $28 million in sales since then. And we've worked with some pretty big names, around 2,000 business owners, people like Jeremy Miner, Jeff Seckinger, people doing multiple 8 figures a year, help them with either their marketing systems or systems in the back end, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole background. I fly planes for fun. I live in Miami, Florida. And I have a YouTube channel, and creating content and like scaling businesses is my passion. Our mission in our company is to enable the world's businesses to achieve massive scale through simple systems, helping them build a business that serves them instead of the other way around. So hopefully that was somewhat of an introduction of who I am and what I've done. But yeah.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Yeah, I remember like maybe like 2 years ago when I was kind of like getting started, when you were still, I don't know if you had rented, I think you and your boys went to this place. I don't know where it was. It was I don't know where it was, and you were shooting from this. I don't know if it was your bedroom or whatever, but you were lit with Jeff, and you were pushing out a lot of content back then. And that's when I first found you, when you were doing a lot of, you had your ad talking about also virtual assistants, is when I first found you. Because in that time, that's when I also was starting an appointment setting agents. We were doing DM outreach with VAs, we weren't doing the call setting. But I think I found one of your VSL, and kind of like gave me this idea of like, oh, okay, cool. I'm using my VAs to do outreach for me. Why don't I actually start an outreach agency using VAs? So, so
It's funny, the VA thing. It's like, so I was doing the real estate. This is a good lesson for everyone here. I was doing the real estate advertising agency and I wasn't really getting any traction with it. And then it was because I was offering the same thing as everybody else. And so then I had a buddy that was in the insurance industry and he showed me that like he buys these leads and this company would like call the leads and set them on his calendar for him. And so I was like, oh, well, what if I did that for my clients in the real estate industry? And we did that. And all of a sudden it went from like literally tooth and nail, trying to convince agents to get on the call, like cold email, blah, 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 to our calendar just flooded with appointments. And like our sales pitch was so beautiful. It was like, yeah, and you don't even have to call them. And so that immediately overnight took off our business. And then same thing for scaling with systems. Yeah, our unique mechanism, which is what I'm talking about here at the beginning of scaling with systems, was virtual assistants. It was like everybody else, there was coaching programs out there, but it was like, hey, you have to do everything yourself. Where what we did is I created a training center in the Philippines, 30,000 square foot training center in the Philippines. And we would get the VAs, train them, and then place them for our clients for $2.50 an hour. And then the exact same thing happened. I mean, I remember in 2019, I was getting booked appointments for $20 to $24 on Facebook and like qualified calls. I mean, it was just absolutely nuts compared to what it is now. And so, yeah, like I think every time you did it with the DMs, with the appointments that was in the DMs, like mine was mostly cold email. But I think every time what I've seen explosive growth in my business was whenever, now I know the word for it, which is unique mechanism, but it's whenever I've been able to identify it or extract a unique mechanism from my offer so that I can immediately separate myself from every other person offering the exact same thing.
1000%. And maybe to kind of like validate this, because I don't know if you've seen kind of like what we're pushing. So I'm calling it building and releasing an infrastructure, but I guess it's a mechanism. It's just that we're actually building it for the businesses we're working with. And because, you know, that's also what happened for me. It's like I was running an ad agency. I went through Iman's course and I was like, okay, let me start this Facebook ad shit for course creators. And I went through Consulting Accelerator. I was like, wait, but no one actually can even afford ads. I'm like, what's going on here? Right. So as soon as I pivoted for like, hey, I'll do the outreach for you, then I did it for like a few months. Then I just pivoted to building it into their businesses. Right. And then that's when we went from literally nothing to like multiple six figures a month in like in less than a year. So now what we're doing with everyone who's here, the idea is stop the done for you bullshit. Stop also coaching people, actually build a tangible infrastructure mechanism into that business. And that's literally all we're doing. And it's info on the front end, train them on what they need, the mechanism, sell them on the process. And if the program they buy, they're actually buying the implementation of the thing in their business. So that's the whole thing we're doing with all of the partners, the clients, the program. It's literally on that thesis. It's like, stop done for you, stop that. Instead, find your unique mechanism and build and release it into 500 businesses in the next 2 years and make $5 million essentially.
Yeah, I like it. I love the name build and release. It's actually a great, like when it comes to unique mechanism names. So we have two unique mechanisms. One's called the self-sustaining funnel and one is called the member method. It's funny because it's like a great unique mechanism. Like, so when you think of unique mechanisms, like Uber has like a unique mechanism. When they first created Uber, nobody else was out there, but they obviously invested millions of dollars in infrastructure and app and all that. So most of people here won't be able to do that to create a unique mechanism. So instead, use your brain power and you can extract a unique mechanism from what you're doing. So like even Serge, what you're saying, it's not like you created the idea of like placing a system inside of a company, but the way that you've systemized it and then extracted the name, I think you said build and release. I like that's and then it's the thing about the name itself is that a great unique mechanism name. I always tell my clients it should sound like you're reading it in like the Harvard Business Review, right? So self-sustaining funnel, the member method, build and release. Those all sound like legitimate, like scientific names. But then if you Googled self-sustaining funnel, I'd be the only person that came up. If you Googled the member method, if you Google build and release, you would be the only person that came up for that. And so the idea is that like really great marketing should be doing about 90% of the work for you. So if you can capture a unique mechanism, name, and even trademark it potentially, then you're going to convince people through your ads and your video sales letters, oh, wow, yeah, build and release. It makes so much sense. I need build and release. Yes, I need build and release. And at the end of the VSL, they're going to be like, okay, maybe I don't want to work with Surge. Maybe let me Google build and release and try to find somebody else to help me with build and release. But you just made up build and release. So you're not going to be able to find build and release literally anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so it sends them right back over to you. So I love the name build and release. I think that's a great idea for sure.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Yeah, we got to trademark that. Please don't post this. Let's not post this until we do that. Yeah. But love it.
Hop in the queues, Serge?
Yeah. Whatever. I'm ready.
So I want to start off with the first question, and then I'll hand it over. Serge, if you got everyone else, if you have some questions, make sure to drop them in the chat. You've probably never heard this question before, bro. I want you to know. You've never heard it. All right. But I'm super interested to hear what it is. If you were to implement, or what was the one thing you implemented into your business that made everything else easier?
Have you ever listened to my podcast?
That's what it's
okay. I was like, bro, either that's a coincidence or this dude has done some research.
No way. He's like, no way.
You just flipped the script, man. You just flipped the script on me.
Come on,
I respect.
I respect that. Himself. Let me ask him.
I respect that. Man, I don't know. What's the one system? I would honestly say, probably building a personal brand. That, and then a layer deeper than that would be YouTube. Like creating YouTube. I started YouTube. So back when I said that I was getting booked appointments for $22 a pop, we were scaling like crazy. I was spending about 150 grand a month on Facebook. The only problem was that my main headline was like, how law school dropout becomes millionaire using $2.50 an hour VAs, which Facebook didn't really love. Pretty much 90% of those words inside of there. So I actually ended up getting my Facebook account lifetime banned. And that was when I launched my YouTube channel. And I'm about 850 YouTube videos later now. And it's so funny to think that I was like so against it back then. And I just saw such little growth back then. But when you ask me what's the one thing I did that made everything easier, it really was building the personal brand and creating content, because it's like right now, in some form or another, about 50% of our sales come from YouTube, whether it's a first touch point, a second touch point, whatever, bottom of funnel, we have the high-ros data to track it. And it's not just sales though, right? I almost guarantee that like Serge just said he saw me on a podcast with Ryan Pineda, which that's on YouTube as well. Only reason Ryan invited me on his podcast was because I've answered a few questions for him, and he obviously knew that I had an audience, and if I went on there, they'd go over to his audience as well. I've also gotten incredible talent, employees from my YouTube channel as well. People that have just watched me on YouTube for a while. I say I'm trying to hire people that I would have to probably pay 30% more somewhere else. They come to me and work at my comp ranges because I have this brand on YouTube as well. So it's like, I'm a huge fan of leverage, right? Huge. That's like the number one thing I look for in everything I do in my life. And Naval Ravikant says there's 4 types of leverage: code, capital, people, and media, with people being the worst form of leverage, capital being the second worst, only because those two both require permission to get that done. And the two best are code, software, and media. And I'm not exactly a software developer. I don't have a lot of coding skills, so I don't really use software too much. But media, I can shoot one video and then it gets shared among millions of people, and there's no additional work on my part. We'll probably take this video, chop it up, put it on the short forms as well, and long form and all this. So it's just like, that's the one thing that I still do every day, and it still feels weird. Like I was just working on a video sales article before I got on here, and it felt weird to stop that to come shoot this content right now, because I feel like I'm not working right now. I feel like this is like play, and like I'm like, oh, if my team knew what I was doing, they'd be pissed off that like in the middle of a day on a Friday I'm like sitting on my balcony shooting. But I know time and time again that this stuff converts, this stuff impacts the entire business, and I know that my team actually does love it. But for some reason, as a business owner, and maybe other people here can relate, just like whenever you're not like head down in the computer, like typing away, it just feels like you're wasting your time. But ironically enough, the answer to your question, I think it's probably the most important thing that I do for the company.
I love that.
Love it. Love it. I wanna, I'll jump on the next few questions, but I have more important questions, so I'll jump on my questions first. Okay, guys. So, Ravi, I have this hypothesis, right? Where, and I want to ask you this because I kind of like heard you talk about it in a different way, where you're, saying like, hey, you're gonna stop kind of like gating your content and your information and your value and just dump it on YouTube and just kind of like push the subscription community, which is something I'd love to get into that. But I have a hypothesis where it's like the info space, especially in our like business, a growth space, has become so saturated that anyone who's trying to make money selling info, they better have a shit ton of capital, or they better have another play of monetization other than monetizing on the info, right? And now you have this new wave of people are starting YouTube channels and building 8-figure companies off of one YouTube channel and free content, taking the content that most people are selling, dumping it away for free, well, which creates crazy like reciprocity bias, and you can sell the implementation on the back end. So for you, how did you see the shift? Because you were really heavy on acquisition on paid ads, but now you're getting heavier into content. Do you want to kind of like share your, because I've never really gotten big on paid ads, like little started running ads more right now, trying to be more aggressive on it. Most of our growth really came from outbound and out or content from the last few years. But for you, you went from content and then paid ads straight, then you built this 8-figure business, and then now you're switching back to, do you kind of like want to share your learnings about the shift and maybe talk about it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, yeah, so in just in transparency, we do spend multiple 6 figures a month on paid ads. So I'm still very bullish on paid ads, but I think that paid ads solely by itself without the content on the back end, I think that that is where you're going to get a ROAS of 1.2, 1.5x, which is really difficult at scale. You get refunds, chargebacks, all of a sudden you're in the red, right? So I think that organic, and once again, I have the data that shows it in Hyros. They click on an ad, they go to the opt-in page, they may opt in, they don't book a call, they go to Google me, find my YouTube, watch a YouTube video, book a call to speak with us. So it's like I have thousands of examples of that happening. Yeah, so it's the benefit of the info space. Like the thing that makes it so beautiful is that it's so easy to start. You just need to know something a little bit more than somebody else. But as usual, typically the thing that is the greatest part about something is also its biggest weakness. And so the biggest weakness of the info is that it's so easy to start that literally anybody can start it. And so in a podcast I was on recently, I was talking about, so I realized about 6 months ago that there wasn't much keeping people from taking maybe what I had in gated content or like for my clients, and then just kind of quote unquote putting their own spin on it and then putting it on YouTube for free. Right. And I also was realizing that the more and more this market got saturated, the less and less people were coming to me for my unique way of doing things. And they wanted something else other than just the information itself, right? They wanted some other element of support, whether it's done for you, whether it's accountability, whether it's done with you. They wanted something that wasn't just like, here are course modules, consume it. And I started back in a day where that was a thing, but it's no longer a thing because of the kind of the velocity of the saturation of this industry. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, well, I want to get in this thing and like I'm a little nervous, or Ravi's saying I shouldn't do it, any industry that's doing excellent is going to be incredibly saturated very quickly, right? So like you're going to be continuously running from that problem if you try to go somewhere else. So instead, you should look at, how do I solve this problem? So typically the way that you'll solve this problem is one, that unique mechanism thing that I talked about earlier. So like I said, Surge didn't create the idea of like building and installing a system. The same way I didn't create the idea of self-sustaining funnel of like creating content and having that being before you get people to book a call, but we extracted it in a way that is unique. If I was just like I see them all the time, we're going to show you how to run DM ads. Like nobody wants to pay you to learn how to run DM ads because you can do that in 2 minutes on YouTube. But with my client, I was working on something currently where it's like, it's the DM ad setup, and DM ads is one piece of it, and we're making the name of it sound different. So it is like a little bit of like a hat and a bunny in a hat trick where it's like, yeah, you're literally just pulling this name out of thin air, but that's your only option because if you're just saying, I do this, I get you leads, I do DM ads, you're incredibly commoditized and people can just YouTube you in 2 seconds. The second thing that you can do, to what Serge was saying, was that I just decided I was going to get ahead of the curve a little bit. So like I did something pretty radical and, like I said, we've done around $28 million in the high ticket space. And I took all of the classes and courses that people used to pay me like $15,000 and $50,000 for, and I put it for $97 a month with 100% no questions asked money back guarantee in the first 14 days inside of a membership site. And that was also another way that I realized that, okay, if the information actually isn't the thing that contains the value, then if I can get as many people as possible to consume the media because it's the highest form of leverage, then the people that never were going to work with me anyway, because they either don't have enough money or they don't pay money, they're going to get value from it and share it with the people who eventually will want to work with me. And then on the flip side of things, those that would potentially want to work with me, but they want to figure out, well, what makes Ravi Abuvala and Scaling Systems different from the 10,000 other people out there? Now they can taste my product before they actually work. They commit to $15,000 or $50,000, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a concept was pioneered in the SaaS world called product-led growth. So instead of like, hey, I help people run DM ads, book a call with me, and I'll explain to you how the process works. You show your entire process up front using a unique mechanism. You give it away all for free. And then they can taste it and test it and see that you're legitimate and your system's different than other people, blah, blah, blah. And then those that want to book a call to work with you can then book a call to work with you. And a big objection I hear about all this is like, oh, yeah, but my clients would never buy a low ticket product or membership site. I have every single day, like multiple 8-figure business owners buy my low ticket products and my membership sites. I just had, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying it because I know him personally, Cale Owen, the CEO of Gym Launch, he just bought my Show Up Secrets. I think we all know Gym Launch does like multiple 8, if not 9 figures a year. He's the CEO. He just bought it of our little low ticket product in our community. So if the content is valuable enough, then your quality client will purchase it. And so you don't have to necessarily do the monetization vehicle of like membership sites or low ticket products. But a lot of people, when they say give everything away for free, and I know I'm talking a lot, I'll shut up here in a second, but a lot of people, when they say give everything away for free, what they don't realize is that like free can be somewhat relative, meaning that if other people paid $50,000 for this piece of information and you're giving it away for $35, then in essence, that's free, right? Relatively speaking, because it's such a large price and value discrepancy that it feels free, right? Versus if it, like, for example, if I came up to you and I said, here's a $450,000 Ferrari, you got to give me $2, you would go around to your friends and say, I got this like free Ferrari. It was like pretty much free. Can you believe I got this Ferrari? You want to be like, oh, this guy made me pay $2 for this $450,000 Ferrari. I can't believe he's a scammer, right? So the whole point of all this being that I do think that you have to kind of, every business owner should be building 2 businesses, the business of today and the business of the future. The big mistake I made in the last 18 months, so the 12 months prior than the last 6 months, was that I was always building the business of today. And that just done really well for me. But then I really started noticing this change coming up here. And so instead of at one point in my business, I was on the front foot. Then I kind of got a little bit lazy and I got on the back foot and just took the money that was coming in. But then as I hit a revenue ceiling, I realized I need to be on the front foot again. And so that's why I was like, you know what, let's put everything either totally for free or at such a low price for the information itself, and then let that be the product-led growth that ascends people into our higher ticket backend thing if they want to. And if not, like I said, just the growth from the personal brand alone brings me so much value, whether it's monetary or otherwise, that it's okay if they don't buy my stuff right away.
Love it. Love it. I love it. I love it. Anyone has any questions that they want to kind of like jump on?
And I can also not go so like high level and like on some of that stuff here. If there's like specific things, I don't know the gauge of the business owners that are inside of here. So I want to make sure it's as valuable for people here as possible.
It's all over. I mean, you got
Cool.
people 10K, you got people above 100K a month.
Love it. Casey, you want to kind of like pick questions and
Yeah, let's go through the chat. Well, actually, real quick, I want to ask you a quick follow-up to that because I'm actually curious. Your membership site ticket thing, you're bringing them in, are you just letting them ascend by themselves, or are you doing something on the back end to ascend them into the high ticket? Because I think
Yeah,
that's
it's a good question. So we're in the middle of figuring it out right now. We're probably going to do a record month this month, as we have, if this continues the way it is in the first 5 days of this month. So like we have kind of figured it out a little bit, but the short answer is that um, the first time I launched, I've done multiple low ticket products and membership sites previously. Every time I did that with the intention of getting them to ascend into the high ticket. I built everything to get them to the ascend to the high ticket. But that's why previously my chargeback rate was like 3%, because people would get in, realize it was just this one little thing, and then they would like do a chargeback or request a refund, et cetera, et cetera. I'm really proud to say that since we've launched our new low ticket and our new membership site, we've had 0 chargebacks in the past 50 days, which has been amazing considering the volume that we're sending through there. And so the difference I did was I said, okay, this time we're not going to create this with the idea of us sending people into the high ticket. We're going to create this in a product in and of itself. And that's just, we're going to do as little ask as possible inside of there. And then if people want to organically ascend to the high ticket, they will. And the cool thing is that's exactly what we're seeing. Now we do have like a few very subtle things that's like, hey, if you want our help doing this, then you can just book a call below. But as of right now, it's only in one place in the entire membership that I talk about it. So everywhere else, it's just like, here's the value, here's the value, here's the value. And then people are literally just DMing me, or they're hitting me up on Instagram, or they're hitting, they're commenting on my posts, and they're just like booking, or they'll book a call on their own from our ads or somewhere else, our website, and then they'll be like, yeah, I'm a Scaling School member, and I wanted to book a call to speak with you. And I'll end this with, there's a few guys that I really respect with their branding. Iman Ghazi is one of them. Sahil Bloom is another. If you don't know Sahil Bloom, he has like a 500,000 newsletter followers and millions of followers online. And for both of them, if you go to both of their Instagrams, neither of them have a link to their products. They have no links inside of it. So it's like essentially, quote unquote, just pure value. And so a lot of people say, well, what is it they do? How do they even monetize the money? But the idea behind it is that, like, I think that there is some kind of inverse relationship with, ironically, the least amount of calls to action that you can make, the more book calls or sales that you're essentially going to get. I know it's really weird to say that, but if somebody essentially has to like literally dig their way to find a way to book a call to speak with you, then you know that they have so much intent to work with you that when they get on the call, they're essentially going to close right away. So that's a long way of saying that we have very minimal stuff. And I'm not saying we're not going to add more inside of there, but as of right now, it's very minimal, and we're seeing a decent ascension rate inside of our high ticket.
Interesting. That's something. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, they don't put any call to action in their bio. So then, are you going all in on having front end be the membership?
Yeah, so pretty much, that I kind of came to that conclusion about 120 days ago. So in one of our values is radical transparency. So I'll be radically transparent with you guys. There's been 2 times that I've made over $1 million in a month, and I have either broken even or lost money that month specifically, right? Because as you really start scaling, you spend a lot of money on payroll, a lot of money on ads, and at one point my payroll was above $550,000 a month, not including ads and all that other stuff. And so that kind of makes you sweat every day, like when you like I was having problems sleeping, et cetera, et cetera. And I just knew it wasn't healthy. And then I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's doing about $3.5 million a month, and he does 1.4 million a month in recurring revenue. And he pretty much was like, yeah, I just take all of my recurring revenue and I just invest it into ads. And it's like I literally just put all of the money right back into ads. And so that everything he makes recurring, he just puts in ads, which fuels the high ticket, et cetera, et cetera. And so I was like, you know what? I've done the high ticket, book a call, nothing up front for years. I've only tried a low ticket product one time for my B2C offer that I used to have, and we were doing well in it. We were spending about $350,000 a month in low ticket, but like I said, a bunch of refunds, et cetera, et cetera. But I never had recurring revenue before. And I said, you know what? I've done this for multiple years. I said, at the beginning of this year, I'm going to try something new. I want to test out something I've never tried before. Let's try the membership site thing out. And I had every single doubt and objection that's probably going through your guys' head right now, cannibalizing the high ticket. People aren't going to stay for multiple months, blah, 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 blah. And of course, there's been hiccups along the way. But man, right now we're doing just an MRR, not new member sales, not high ticket, nothing else. We're doing about I think $7,000 or $8,000 a day just in MRR, which is pretty awesome. because I can just invest all that back into ads, all of that back into the team, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm okay just even breaking even using that money right now. So I don't know, maybe it'll be saturated, maybe it'll all blow up in my face, but I am pretty bullish on it as of the filming of this video, and it's working out pretty well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because we launched the NBL community like I believe in October last year,
I
November.
bought it. I bought into it. I bought into it at one point.
Yeah. And I think in the first 30 days of launching it, no, 60 days, we hit 60K MRR.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's because no one had ever been able to do business with me unless they're spending 5 figures. And also, some people were just not trying to fucking book a call. So maybe they're trying to get a taste of what it is we do. So it's been really, really well. And
That's exactly what you said. That's the same thing happened to me. People couldn't work with me. It's
yeah,
either free content or it was minimum of $15,000. There was nothing in between those two things there. So yeah,
yeah,
going back to the content side of things, that's exactly why it's beneficial that you have a personal brand online, because people just want to pay to get around
yeah,
you. And this is like a way that you can essentially have them do it for almost no cost.
yeah. Now, I was kind of, we're planning for Q2 and I was trying to figure out like, okay, we have NBL, but we also have this VSL funnel. I'm like, where do I fucking put the shit? Like, it's like, man, what the fuck?
It's not a clean. So that is the most difficult part about this entire thing, is that I come from the world, like I've written thousands of video sales letters, and my unique mechanism previously was like video sales letters. And it was just like ad, opt-in page, video sales letter, booking, call, sale. Like it
Yeah,
couldn't be cleaner. You could draw it on there. It was just perfect, nice, organized. What I've known now is that this is way more of like an ecosystem, if you will. And the more you try to like make it perfect, clean lines, the more it fucks up. And
yeah.
so realistically, what I've seen work well for us is like we break it up between top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel in our marketing department, and then we have like a graphic that we use for it. But we don't right now. We're running no. That's a lie. We're very minimum ads to a call funnel, all
Mm,
top of funnel. Everything is top of funnel is all either membership site or low ticket products.
mm-hmm.
And then middle of funnel, after they've tasted a little bit of who we are, we're running about 40% of our monthly ad budget goes middle of funnel. And that includes other people that have like the membership side, the low ticket products, but it also is a video sales that are call funnel.
Nice.
So that way it's like we're using the products and the self liquidation from low ticket and membership in order to get people's first to taste us, kind of that product led growth. But then actually to credit to what you guys were asking me earlier, another way that we're kind of ascending people from low ticket membership site into the high ticket is the the video sales that are call funnel. And those ones we have about 11x ROAS on that. And we're getting calls for like $70, $80, like qualified calls, where previously our average qualified call was about $350 to $400. So it's like, it's showing a lot of legs to it. And our average in Q1, our low ticket product ROAS average was 0.65. And that was like ugliest funnel you can think of. I mean, you can look at me on ads library, ugliest video sales letter, as no editing. It was the brightness was that. So our goal is to actually get a break even low ticket funnel this quarter and use that to scale, and then have middle of funnel retargeting ads, setters, CTAs, blah, 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 send people into high ticket on the back end.
I love it. I love it. Okay, guys, I'll stop talking.
It's like a coaching call for you guys, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, I forgot we had this call going on right here.
Ravi, let's go to the chat. I'll have them come off. You kind of run through it. I know there's one up here. 6-figure copywriters, whoever that is, come off mute and ask your question.
Yeah, it's Dennis, man. I still have to change the name. What's up?
What's up, Dennis?
Hey man. Nice to meet you. I actually watched your stuff a few years ago as well. So
Thank you.
pretty good content. I really love it. So my question is, right now we're doing about 10 to 15K, but we're pivoting the niche. It's just a very long story. Casey approves, by the way. So we're pivoting the niche, and one bottleneck that I always had with the business was closing and sales. I feel all sales process, but also my skills when it comes to sales. So do you believe in the fact that you can't hire a good closer unless you're a good closer yourself? Or do you agree that hiring a closer without you having the skill is also doable in order to scale?
Yeah, what a great question. So, I don't believe that you have to be a good salesperson to hire a good closer. If that was the case, then about 99% of the tech companies out there would not be where they are today, because they don't they're technical founders and they hire salespeople to sell their SaaS. That being said, it is beneficial, obviously, for you to know like what you should be paying attention to, but that's also why you join masterminds and coaching programs and mentors, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. Personally, and people are kind of shocked when they hear this, I've sold millions of dollars from stage each time. And I don't consider myself a good salesperson. I consider myself an excellent marketer. And so I think that if you can, going back to what I said earlier, the unique mechanism, the personal brand, the content, the product-led growth, if you can do that, sales is so much easier. So most people have like a 50-50 relationship, marketing and sales. Marketing gets somebody just to be like, yeah, okay, I guess I'll hear you guys out. And then sales has to drag them the rest of the way, which is a very manual, labor-intensive, and unleveraged process. But instead, if you spend more time, energy, and effort being an expert marketer, or at least just better at marketing, you can get them to the 10-yard line. And then when they have the sales call, then like what we determine as a sales qualified lead is if they come on the sales call and they say, I'm looking for unique mechanism. So if they say, I'm looking for the member method, like if they come on there and say that, we have a 45% close rate on those with a 75% average cash to revenue ratio. So what most of the time, what happens is people come on there and they'll be like, yeah, I'm just interested in learning more about what you guys are doing. Or yeah, I saw an ad and I clicked on it and I just like, I saw you guys help people grow businesses. Like, what does that look like? That's a 50% handoff. And at that point, even the best salesperson in the world is going to have a difficult time like closing that deal. So I would spend more of my time, energy, and effort becoming a great marketer while at the same time closing my own sales. And then to the point that you're at least basically a KPI, which would be 20% sales conversion rate. Once again, you don't have to be an amazing salesperson to get there. Then you can hire a salesperson who's going to crush it, make a lot of money, and stay with you because your marketing's doing all the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah, that makes total sense, man. And I love it. It's just another way to, instead of actually learning the sales skill, you just build on the other aspect, which is marketing, so you can make sales easier. That's pretty much what it is.
And essentially, if you think a video sales letter, it's sales copy. So like,
Yeah.
it's funny that I always tell people, and I'm obviously biased. I love marketing. So like people in here that are probably love sales are going to tell me that I'm an idiot, but marketing includes sales in it, where sales doesn't necessarily include marketing. And I have plenty of salespeople that wouldn't know marketing if it hit them in the face, right? But you really can't market unless you also are able to pull in objections that people bring up on sales calls, like their limiting beliefs, their false assumptions, et cetera, and put it inside your marketing copy. So I think that you're not going to ignore sales by studying marketing. I think you'll just be better at sales by studying marketing, and you'll make sales easier for your sales team or for you when they actually get on the sales call.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot for the advice. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking it, man.
Good question, man. I'm going down. Leopold, I see you had a question, man. You want to come off mute?
Hello, everybody. So nice to meet you, everyone. So my name is Leopold, as you see, and I want to know how you go about building like systems if you're starting out. Like I make approximately 4 to 5K a month, and I would like to know what I can do to build systems that can work for me, so that I don't have to spend a lot of times in the like building the funnels and building everything.
Yeah. So I don't think you'll get away from like, obviously work, but the best recommendation I have without like being able to pretty much sit with you for 12 hours is there's a idea or the theory called the theory of constraints, which is what we subscribe to at our company. That's how I trained my client success team. And the theory of constraints is a management methodology with the idea that like every business has one constraint that's holding it back from growing, that's preventing it from scaling. And so, if you're making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, you might say, Ravi, I have 5, 7 constraints, bottlenecks in my business. That's true, but you have one main one that has the most obstruction on the flow of the business, and then you'll have another one, and then another one, and another one. And so what we do at our company, and what I really recommend everybody do, is you need to ruthlessly identify what the constraint is, the biggest constraint is in your business, and then you need to work to implement systems to solve it once and for all. So a great example, if I'm at $3,000 to $5,000 a month, my biggest constraint is very likely going to be sales calls, assuming that you're doing some kind of service for people, right? So then if your biggest constraint is sales calls, somebody could say that, okay, maybe you should get better at sales. But the problem is that, when I get on the phone with a salesperson, I'm not able to close them. But the problem with that is that the biggest constraint, or is the biggest constraint that you don't have a solid marketing process set up in place? Like, is that they don't know who you are, just like I was telling the last gentleman a moment ago. So maybe we need to invest more time on that. But then the next question is like, okay, maybe you do have a decent marketing process, but just physically not enough people know who you are. Okay, at that point, the constraint would be ads, or it would be the traffic, emails, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to take a look at your business and just think of it as a funnel, all the way from essentially the business model to marketing, to the funnels, the sales calls, the bottom of funnel, the fulfillment, the operations. That's your entire business, and you just need to ask yourself, where's the biggest constraint? So for you, it sounds like the biggest constraint is either going to be traffic, or it's going to be the marketing process. And so then I would figure out, okay, what are my systems I can use to solve this? And anytime I'm implementing systems, I always try to figure out what's the most leveraged system I could do. So for example, I don't know where you're from, but if you're lacking in traffic, then you could do cold email and cold outbound messaging, but that's very unleveraged. It's very cheap, but it's very unleveraged. But if you spent, I don't know, $50 a day, $100 a day on ads, you could reach so many more people that were coming in with a better frame of mind than you do in cold email. And then just keep on rinse and repeating that process all the way through. I mean, even I do the theory constraints in my business, and I'm constantly identifying what's the biggest constraint that I have, and I'm just doing it. So you'll never stop doing that. So if you can start now and figure that system out, then that's the system of all systems. It's like a mindset thing, right? It's like before you can even make money, you need to get good at mindset. Before you can even build a business, you need to get good at spotting bottlenecks in a business and then building systems to solve them.
Because I kind of like want to anticipate every time and create new things, but I should not, right? I should like first see the problem and try to build system to fix the problem.
Yeah, typically, like, yeah, you're like, you heard me earlier. You need to
Yeah.
always build two businesses, build the one you have and then the one of the future. But the problem is you don't even have a business right now, with all due respect, right? At 3 to 5K a month, it's not really a business. So it's like, okay, you need to focus on the business you have right now, up until the point that then you can lift your head up and look to the future. But yeah, as of right now, once again, all due respect to anybody here can make $10,000 a month, literally doing the most saturated, the most competitive, the most ununique mechanism thing in the world. So if you're not there, do the basic shit until you get there. And then you can start to figure out, how do I hit the 30K, 50K, 100K, et cetera, et cetera.
All right. Thank you very much, man.
Love it, man.
You got it, brother.
Yo, Jackson, I actually really like your question, bro. You want to come off?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, what kind of revenue point with your high ticket offer would you wait to get to before starting the low ticket community? And has that answer changed since you started scaling school?
Oh, yeah, that is a good question. I actually think that anybody, let's say, just it's always hard, arbitrary numbers. Let's just say $10,000 a month, right? Because up until that point, like I was just telling the last gentleman, you don't necessarily know enough about the client, the avatar, the problems that they have, the issues they have. You probably don't have enough cash flow to invest in ads, which is the only way low ticket's really going to work unless you have a large audience. So I'd say right around the $10,000 mark. The question though is not low ticket. The question is, at what point do I implement product-led growth? That's really the question you need to be asking yourself. And the answer to that is immediately from day one. And so a lot of people don't think about it this way, but content is a product. So the content I'm creating on YouTube, this content right here is a product. You guys are investing time in order to consume this thing that I made, which is my words and my expertise. And so this is product-led growth. Like maybe some of you watch this, you go to my YouTube, you watch another thing, you buy Scaling School, whatever else it is. But the idea here is that it's not low ticket. Low ticket is just a great way. Actually, if you go organically, we don't sell the low ticket product anywhere. There's no low ticket products in organic stuff. We just do it in ads because it's a fast way to liquidate ad spend. So I guess the reframe would be, when should I start doing product-led growth? And that should be as soon as possible. But to answer your question, when should I do low ticket products? It would be when I had enough expertise to know what the pain point was for my clients, that I could create a product around that. And then I had enough money to invest in ads for that, which would be like $10,000 to $15,000 a month, in my opinion.
Love it.
That's your question? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool.
Love it, man. Great question. Jad, what do you mean by yours, bro? And what up, my man? Good seeing you, bro. If you
Yeah,
hear
how
me,
you doing, Casey?
good, man.
Cool, cool. I think it was one Ravi was talking about one when he built his offer. It's more about like at which moment you had like the thought about launching like the low ticket offer and why actually.
I think I just answered that last question. Do you still need more clarity other than what I just answered a moment ago?
Yeah, it's more about why now rather than later or before previously.
Yeah. Were you listening to the rest of the conversation that I was having on here? Where I walked through
Yeah,
that
he
that
just
whole
went
thing.
over that.
Yeah, I pretty much long
Yeah,
story
to be
short,
honest,
I'm happy to summarize it for you. Long story short, it's because I realized that the marketplace is getting saturated. The costs are going incredibly high for both advertising costs, cost of labor, et cetera, et cetera. And so I wanted a way for people to test out my products so that they could build trust with me and want to eventually book a sales call, but in a way that wasn't all free because I'm not getting paid on any of my free content. And so that's where low ticket products and membership sites make sense because it's essentially free when I'm giving away stuff that people used to pay $50,000 for $35. But in that case, I get paid. Even that $35 is enough for me to liquidate some of my ad spend or make a little bit of money or the $97 a month that I can invest back into the business. And then the client can taste my stuff before they end up wanting to book a call to speak with us.
Yep. Love it.
I'd,
You actually really like
can
thank
Wyatt.
you.
Welcome, bro. Wyatt then really
before
like
before Wyatt goes on, because I want to kind of like share clarity on kind of like what Ravi is doing, because maybe this could be also a great way to pitch it for you, Ravi. So I was listening to this breakdown because you shared product-led growth from SaaS, but many people probably don't understand what that means. So I was listening to HubSpot, the founders. It's this. There's this guy who runs a SaaS academy, and he asked like, how did HubSpot actually blow up, right? So HubSpot was doing around $20 million in ARR, and they were spending a bunch of money on marketing, a bunch of money on sales, and they essentially started surveying their customers, and they were like, hey, where did you come from? And they ended up realizing that 80+% of everyone who bought and subscribed was a referral from someone else who had already bought. And then they looked at the amount of cost that marketing and sales is pumping, and they're like, why are we investing so much money in marketing and sales? What if we just reinvested it into the product and gave away a certain level of the product away for free? Then they initiated this process of giving HubSpot away for free, at least a few the certain features, and that took them from, I believe, $20 million in ARR. Right now, they're doing over $1 billion a year in revenue. So it's this idea of if you actually let people use the first layer of, so it's almost like what is it about your service that you can give away for free for people to actually see how to achieve their dream outcome. And then once they have that, they're aware of that, then it's a no-brainer for them not to need your service or implementation or whatever software you have, right? But you will never go from 20 million. You can't pay your way to $1 billion in ARR, is really what it means. But you can reduce the cost of experiencing your thing all the way to free, lower the barrier of entry, and make the product be the pitch, and then sell let the product sell essentially. So it's just that. It maybe simply put for everyone here.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. And I also think that the main reason why people are afraid to put their info in a product like that, maybe their high ticket or whatever else it is because their stuff's is kind of garbage, to be honest with you. So like your stuff has to be fucking banger for you to be able to put it out and give it away. So it's like if it's just not that great and you're really good at sales and marketing, but then people aren't renewing or sending whatever else it is because they already paid you, they signed the contract, blah, 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 then you can only scale to a certain amount there. But HubSpot knew they had an incredible product. So I know CEO of Truvani, which is like one of the largest protein brands in the United States. I've been using it for a few years. He lives in Miami. We've had dinner. And when I had dinner with him, I was like trying to learn because he started in the affiliate marketing world. He was doing affiliate marketing and then is now in this multiple 9-figure business that he's looking to exit. And I'm like, yo, you're doing what I want to do. I want to make a 9-figure exit, but you started in the e-learning affiliate, like the internet marketing world, as all of us here know it. And we're having a good conversation. But anyway, he said that their marketing team has one philosophy, and that is just put it in their mouth. And I know that's a funny saying, but the idea is that he's like, I know that if I get somebody to taste the protein, we know that they'll come back and they'll buy more. And so they spend so much money on Amazon. They're the only protein brand that you can buy a single serving for on Amazon. I think it's like $2 or $3. And they lose money every single time that they do that. They sell it and they run ads to it, et cetera, et cetera. But they know that after they taste it one time, they're going to come back and they're going to invest. And I've been, just for context, I've been using that protein. I go through 2 bags a week, every week for over 3 years now. So like their lifetime value on me is absolutely insane. So yeah, the point is like to just think of it that way. If it's easier, get it in there, put it in their mouth. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get them to taste what your full product is like. But of course, if your product tastes like shit, then it's not going to work. So that's why your product, as usual, has to be really good to make it work.
Love it. Love it. Wyatt, you want to go next?
For sure. So something that I've been seeing a lot, and I was talking to the guy who I have as like a consultant for my clients right now about it last night. It's like these guys like that are my age that go like super viral for making money at a young age, but I make more than them, and like I can't go super viral and I don't know why. And it's like, dude, if I could have the eyes they have, I'm literally 5x in my revenue. Because I did like in February, we ran no paid ads and we did 50K off like 1K subscribers. And these guys have like 50K views per video and they make like nowhere near as much as me. So it's like, and their whole niche is make money online. So it's like, how do I build that audience and how can I accelerate my growth like crazy?
Yeah, well, you kind of answered it already inside of there, but it's like they have whatever 5 times, 10 times the amount of subs, but they're not making nearly the amount of money that you're making. Yeah, that's because almost always you're going to have a trade-off between like virality and growth and the amount of money that you can monetize on the back end of that, right? There's small exceptions to that rule, but so for example, for me, you know, for a while, I used to be upset that my videos only get like 3,000, 4,000 views. I only have 70 or almost 80,000 subs on YouTube. And like you said, I see other people that are blowing up and I feel like they have more surface level content than what I do. But I also know once I started speaking to some of these people, how much money I make. And they're always coming to, so these same people that have 300, 400, 5,000 subs are booking calls with me and trying to learn how do I make money from this. And so I'm like, oh yeah, we'll make calls to action, we'll book a call. And then they start doing it and they have, like you said, nowhere near the amount of money. And I'll give you 2 funny stories. First is that one of my close friends, his brother has, I think, 6 million subs on YouTube. And so one of my close friends is in our space and he only has like 30,000 subs on YouTube and he makes a lot of money from it. And so he went to his brother, he's a master marketer. So he goes to his brother, he's like, yo, we're going to create this sales funnel. We're going to create this merchandise. We're going to do all this stuff and we're going to monetize your millions and millions of subs. So they set up the whole sales funnel and he is a master marketer. So he knows how to make it all work. They do the drop, they do that. He was getting, I think on the day that they dropped it, they got like almost 1 million clicks to the landing page is what he was telling me. And I think they made 200 sales from the things for $30 per thing. So whatever that number is, it's like, so the traffic was garbage. And then the same example, my girlfriend, I helped her build a membership site about like femininity and women and all that stuff. And not all that stuff as I'm being derogatory, but just for time, I'm not going into it. But and so she did this TikTok 3 days ago. And it was about like, hey, most people want a high value man until you get a high value man and you realize that they hold you accountable for your actions. And then maybe you don't want a high value man. Within 24 hours, it had 1.6 million views on TikTok, right? And I'm like, baby, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, how many more people did you come to your membership sites? And like 1 person joined her membership site from the thing. And it was exactly what her thing is about. It's literally exactly what high value man and her membership community is about, how to get a high value man. So, and then I guess the final one I'll drive it home is I had a client for a VIP day over here 3 days ago. And he said he was at a media conference, like a content creator conference. And there was this person who had a TikTok account with 4 million followers. at this one table that was doing like a meet and greet, and this YouTuber with 100,000 followers, and he was doing a meet and greet here, and he said that the guy that had the 100,000 followers, subs, had 100 times more people waiting in line to meet him than the person that was on TikTok. So it's not I guess the bottom line here is that not all traffic is treated the same. And so you have to understand that, and your goal really, and you might actually start turning off. Like if I started doing all this, like make money online, I have 5 ways to make $100 on you. Like I know that all the people that watch my YouTube videos, like some of the people on this call right here, would probably stop watching my YouTube videos. And I used to have all these content consultants. I would hire them $10,000. They'd come in. Oh, you need to do a video. You can see on my channel some of my stuff. I have like why quitting weed, maybe $10 million. And so I would make these videos and like they would go viral, but I have all the tracking and they didn't lead to more sales. And so then when I just stayed true to in-depth business content that like I would think 7 and 8 figure business owners will enjoy, that still stays a consistent pipeline for sales for our company.
Yeah.
Okay, dude, that's sick advice. Yeah, I like that. So maybe what you're saying is like less of don't focus on the number, but maybe more of like the amount of money you make per subscriber or like per view, because that's something I've noticed. Yeah. Like Surge makes so much more money per subscriber than like Iman does, for example. Like it's outrageous. So yeah, I like that, dude. Thank you.
You got it.
Yeah, Ravi, I know we're at 1 p.m. So do you have a hard
I have a little bit longer. I can go till about 1:15 because I got one at 1:30 I got to prepare for. So
yeah, Wyatt, don't try to be viral. Who cares? Get rich. You're 16 years old. Worry about the fame once you have like at least more money than followers. Yeah, I think this is also one of the things, because I've also had this, which is like, okay, fuck, I need to grow my YouTube. But it's like, just because someone has more YouTube subscribers, because also here's how it works. And I actually talked about it in my story the other day. I was like, the market, the people who will buy is not exponential growth, like the audience size. So let's say if I'm selling to 1,000 people and 100 people buy, just because I go to 10,000 doesn't mean it's 10,000 people that can buy. It's just 20% more. So more followers, the relationship is not symmetrical. It's 10x more audience, maybe 15% more people can buy. And the bigger you go, the gap, the bigger the gap. So I don't think being famous actually it means nothing. Other than, oh, I have people or other than status signaling. For sure. If you want to be the kid 16 with 1 million followers, maybe can get you more dates. I think that can get you more dates than the money. Love it. Okay, cool. Let's go over who got a next question.
It was Dan. I like Dan's question. It's about YouTube content.
Hey, Ravi. So really quick, my question is around, I've got a YouTube channel, like a couple of hundred subscribers. I've also had the same sort of what you just shared, where I only have a couple of subscribers, but some people will come to me and be like, all right, I'll pay you $5,000 for this thing because I like what you're saying. But my question is, what are the leading indicators of success? Because I'll post videos, I'll get like 8 views, and it's like, well, that sucks, but I know that. So is it volume? What do you think? What do you care about? Is it like, do you spend a lot of time like on the thumbnail and the title? Like, what were you prioritizing when you were 400 videos in and maybe you didn't have a lot of subscribers?
Yeah, what a great question. So I think for me, it's going to sound so cheesy, but I pretty much disconnected myself from the outcome of my YouTube channel and the videos on there, because I just, I'm a firm believer that if you can't do something every day, don't do it for a day. And I have watched, to Serge's credit, he said he learns a lot from people's podcasts. Like, so I listen to a lot of podcasts and I'll listen to YouTubers. And what do you see this common trend? I mean, right now there's this huge trend of YouTubers shutting down their YouTube channels, and if you like type in like why I shut down my YouTube on YouTube, watch like 10 or 15 of those videos, and they all say the exact same thing, which is that they started their channel. It was a lot of fun. Then they saw what was working. They played the algorithm game. And then like a year later, they ended up with a channel that they don't even recognize. And they're just doing stuff to make huge YouTubers are saying this stuff. And so I just realized, like, once again, why are we all here? To learn from other people's mistakes so we don't have to make them. So I just realized, like, okay, cool. If I can just make content that I would literally make, whether people were paying me or not, whether it led to sales or not, whatever else it is, obviously with the understanding that it would lead to my products or services, but I'm in a business that I love anyway, so I could talk about this shit all day long, no matter what. So if I kind of disconnect myself from the outcome from that, then I just make my videos around that. And I, honest to God, Year and a half ago, I was making videos every single time based on click-through rate and thumbnails and average view duration, everything that everybody tells you about. We would look and see what competitors were doing and blah, blah, blah. And now all I do is I legitimately just go on and I turn the camera on and I talk about whatever. Like I was just thinking in here, a few things that you guys had been bringing up. I was thinking in my mind, like, oh, I should probably do a YouTube channel around that. So I just think, what are people asking me? And then I just make a YouTube video around that. And I could care as long as it's aligned with my product, I could care less what it does with views or anything else along those lines, because I'm in it for, I want to make at least one YouTube video every week for the rest of my life. And I'm not going to do that if I'm spending so much time and energy paying attention. And so I'm actually, if you look at my videos, there's a downtrend in the thumbnails, in the editing style, and all. Now it's just me with a Loom video, and I'll screenshot for the thumbnail that's on there. And I'm getting a lot of people that I respect that are making a lot of money that are saying that they really like the video. So, I kind of the same thing I told the last guy. Don't care so much about subscribers. I swear to God, I don't look at any of those metrics. I literally just create content that I like creating. And I guess the only thing I will do more of is if people in our coaching calls or on our sales calls are mentioning a specific topic, then I might create more videos around that, because I'm not indexing for more views and more followers. I'm indexing for more sales. So YouTube's never going to be able to tell me what's leading to more sales. So that's why I always have a weekly meeting with my sales team, and they give us feedback from what people are bringing up, what they like, what kind of journey were they on that led them to book a call, and then I create more content around that.
So if I get it right, it's about relevant content. So relevant to
Yes.
the ICP of people who have actually bought. That's probably the best
Exactly. Relevant to the
okay.
sales. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you don't care about volume as much. It's more about super, like, very efficient content to speak to the people that you want to
Well,
buy your
I
product.
care. I mean, I'm trying to do 3 videos a week. I'm trying to go up to 5 videos a week. So volume is important to me only because it's working so well. And so I just want to try to, anything that's working well, I'm just trying to do more of. So like, but I'm trying to do it more of in the way that has worked well, not in the way that everybody else is telling me to do it, which is like, oh, no, Ravi, change your titles to be broader and talk about these things. And then when you do that, then you'll do that. And once again, for the YouTube metrics, it would, imagine if you were running ads on Facebook and you could only look at the cost per click. Imagine that. Like, that's the only you can look at on Facebook. You couldn't look at cost per lead, cost per call, cost per sale. You could only look at cost per click. That's how most people are running their YouTube channel. They're the highest surface level metric that they're looking at. They're optimizing for that. And I can't tell you how many times I get $10 cost per clicks, which, if you know anything about Facebook ads, is disgustingly high. But my cost per acquisition is 80% lower than the one that's getting me $2 cost per click. So you're optimizing always for bottom of funnel whenever you're creating your content.
Okay, awesome.
If the goal is to make money on services and products, not to be YouTube famous, like Serge said, if you do want to be YouTube famous and just like tell people about it and be a best-selling author or whatever else it is, then yes, the surface level content is probably going to be better for that.
Well, but so my last question on this is, how do you reconcile that with your take from what you said about Iman? You're like, it's cool when these guys don't put links and stuff. Does your YouTube content really book in? I haven't checked like your YouTube descriptions, but are you always pushing like YouTube video and then in the description you've got all the programs?
So all of our descriptions have links to book and like purchase our stuff from there, but it's like maybe 1 out of every 3 videos or 1 out of every 5 videos I actually make a hard CTA. Other than that, I'm just like, I just talk, and then people will go on their own and do it. And we actually have not seen a direct, because every link in our description is linked to that video for our tracking. But I've never seen a spike when I make a CTA versus when I don't make a CTA in those videos. I just do it every once in a while because I don't know, some habits die hard. But no, like if you don't have to make a CTA for people to do it. But that being said, that's also why I like running retargeting ads and stuff like that, because you can pay to put the actual offer in front of people. So I know like even Alex Becker grew Hyros just by doing YouTube videos on how to run YouTube ads. They would have huge views and huge followings, and people watch it. No CTA on that, and then he would do retargeting middle of funnel ads that was directly like, "Hey, book a call to speak with us," et cetera, et cetera. So that's another way you can kind of liquidate your spend for that.
Cool. Thank you so much.
You got it.
All right. One last question. It has to be short, and then we let Ravi get back to building a company. Who want to go in the chat? Who has an interesting thoughts about AI? I like that. I like that one. Last question. AI. What are you
in general?
What are you seeing No, in general, but no, how are we going to make money with it? How can we sell it
Yeah,
as a mechanism is really more so interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was having dinner with my buddy last night, and he was talking about this guy, the best hedge fund manager of all time. He's a quant, and every year for the past 40 years, they've done, I think, don't quote me, I think it was like 25% average investment return a year every year for the past 40 years, which is nuts.
Wow.
For context, the stock market gets you 5.5% on average from the S&P 500. So, um, and that's not anyway. And and the other cool thing about that is I think last year they did uh $3 billion and they had 300 employees. So it's like their dollar per employee is disgustingly high. And what I told him was like, yeah, so that's quant, which is like we're using AI to trade for you essentially, or using algorithmic learning, machine learning to trade for you. I think that AI will be something very similar in the near future here. I think that it's going to make it so that I didn't say this. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, said that it's not if, but when we'll have a one-person billion-dollar company. So, like, I very much am very bullish on AI. I think that you can get a little bit too drinking the Kool-Aid to where you're like, I only do AI, and like you're just all fully focused on AI. So I feel like if I was starting from zero and I had no skills and no infrastructure and no business or anything, I probably would learn AI. And then as a service, I would implement AI in other people's businesses. As a done for you service, I would do that. There's a million different ways that you could do it. We even do it for our clients, like replacing sales call coordinators with AI and all that other stuff. So we do it as a service for our clients. If I was starting from scratch, that's exactly what I would do. The other option is that you actually learn how to like create machine learning AI things, but that also requires typically capital and all that other stuff. So from zero, I would 100% just recommend, okay, what's a big problem that everybody has? For example, they can't turn leads into appointments. What if you took one of these AI softwares that's out there and for a service, you implemented it inside their business, kind of connecting the two worlds of like the business owner who's in the past and the AI of the future. And now on the other hand of things, you can do what essentially I do, which is like, okay, I can't just restart my whole business and just have it focused on AI, or I would just be continuously churning out new offers all the time. So instead, what we do is we just try to optimize what we're doing and replace team members with AI or increase the efficiency or output of AI. So for us, it's every day, every week, every month, I'm asking myself, how can we get a higher output with less input? So an example would be that sales call scoring calculator. Another example is that I just we have a product called Member Method where we show people how to build membership sites. And for the first time ever, I created this My GPT that creates the entire membership site, including the courses, the title, the website, all of that for our clients in 7 seconds. They just type in what they like about what their passion is, and it creates the entire membership site for them in 7 seconds. So what used to be like, we get on a call, they would do a worksheet, we would do the onboarding. Now they get it done in 7 seconds. So now our average client to client success manager ratio right now is 35. So for 35 clients, we have one client success manager because we do a lot of intensive custom work. And so my goal is to get that to double. So 70 clients per client success manager without dropping the amount of fulfillment that we do. The only way you can do that other than elimination is through automation. And so I think applying AI to what you're doing in that instance, and I'll finish it with a quote by the CEO of Mind Valley. I was in a mastermind with him. I forgot his name, Vishen. He said that in this mastermind, he was saying, if every year you're not replacing at least 30% of your employees with AI, then you're falling behind the curve. So it's a little bit of a brutal business owner's outlook on AI for sure. Like, oh yeah, replace all human beings with AI. But if your competitors are doing it and you're not, and they're able to either get more or charge less, then you're going to be left in the dust essentially.
Yeah, love it. We just launched last week. Last 2 weeks ago, I did a webinar on building and releasing AI infrastructures. So
yeah, I think it's super valid.
Yeah,
I think it's super valid.
Yeah, love it. Okay, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. Ravi, thank you so much for having spent the last hour with us. We'll shoot you a DM. Love to connect after this. Got a lot of I need to introduce that GPT thing. 10x the output. And then thank you guys for everyone who invested their time here today, and for anyone who's watching this. Follow Ravi Abuvala on Instagram and all the socials, YouTube. He's dropping bangers. And yeah, thank you guys so much for for doing this. And Casey, shout out to you for organizing all of this. Thank you so much.
Thank
And,
you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. It was awesome. You guys are an awesome audience, great questions, and I genuinely appreciate the time.
Let's
Let's
go.
do it.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, guys, let's get to work. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Peace.